Oh, don't you like the Christmas colors? How cute. The less disassembly, the better. Oh, and look what else I discovered. This machine just knows. Lep. I'm Mike Dimas, and this is Pinball Shenanigans. Welcome back to Alaska. If you watched the last episode, then you seen that the cabinet has made it out of the Graisley garage into the basement here. So things are starting to come together, but we must work on the playfield. Speaking of playfields, I was speaking with Stephen Prusa the other day, who owns the solid state version of Alaska, and we were comparing notes and realized that there were some differences between his and mine on the playfield. So I made this little photo here. We've got the solid state version on the left, my 4-player EM in the middle, and the 1-player playfield on the right. And right off the bat, you can clearly see that the color palette between the solid state and the 4-player are dramatically different. The iceberg is orange versus green, and the reflection as well. The mountains or clouds in the background are pink versus orange as well. And then just the whole playfield coloring in general is very much different. One other thing I just noticed last night is that the back arch, which I had powder coated white, it does not have seals on it and is not beige. So the solid state has these little green seals in the corners. It is beige, whereas the 4-player version just has a white arch. And was there anything else? Oh yeah, the solid state drop targets are all white. And on this is the flyer photo here for the 4-player, and you can see it's red on the left and yellow on the right. So I don't know if that's actually how the machine was produced or not, because like mine are 9 out of 10 yellow. So I'm more likely thinking that one yellow drop target broke, and that's why I have one red versus, 4 red drop targets broke and they were all replaced with yellow. But who knows? These things are manufactured pretty solidly, so I'm thinking that they were produced all yellow, even though the playfield flyer of the playfield shows that they're red. Anyway, so some neat differences. The 1-player version, there's really not much that I could notice between these two here, except the drop targets are white on the left, yellow on the right. The coloring is a little bit different, actually. Like, this is more orange, this is more dark orange. We got the sort of baby blue here. So I don't know if that's fade. Probably not, because it's got the 6mm cryo light, or whatever the heck it's called, plexi playfield. I guess it doesn't mean that it couldn't fade if it was, in the line of the sun. But anyway, those are some interesting differences that I thought were noteworthy. Another difference that we noticed regarding the cabinet is that this is all that was basically left of Stephen's Alaska head. He put his whole Alaska playfield into a Bally cabinet, as well as wired it up with Bally boards. But he noticed in my photo that, well, I have, hold on, this art with the polar bear, and he just had this. So it is hard to tell, but from this flyer photo you can tell that there is not a polar bear there. So solid state just got that, and the EM got this. And maybe, possibly, the solid state head is narrower, so they didn't have as much room for the art, and that's possibly why. But another neat thing is that the face of the EM has different art here. I can't really tell if that is a wolf up here, possibly, and then some mountains. But the 4-player just has these red lines. So there's some differences in the variation of machines for Alaska. Just gonna jump right in and start working on these drop target assemblies. Basically, that's really all that's left. The drop target assemblies, this stepper unit, and then really the light bulbs. That's pretty much it. That's not too bad. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is remove these 4 screws on each side of this bracket, which will allow me to remove the 2 solenoids, and then I can pull this whole part out and clean it and check on the sleeves. And like, the springs aren't too springy, so I don't know if it's gummy in there or the springs are just, you know, old. But I don't know. I think I'll start with that. Okay, I started removing... Oh, I'm noticing a few things here. I started removing the 4 screws on the other drop target bank, and then I realized it's not just the 4 screws. You have to remove these. But look, we're missing a screw and 2 nuts here. We're missing a nut here. And also missing a screw here. So these are the 3 that I started to remove, and I thought, you know what? These little stoppers here, plastic stoppers, it's just 4 screws, and you can remove them. So now that I have those removed, I should be able to remove this bar. Yep. And I can clean the crap out of this. Trying not to lose any springs here. But yeah, definitely pretty filthy. And the coil sleeves probably could use a changing. So maybe I will have to dig in a little deeper, but it's starting to tear into this thing. Okay, I'm going to try and cheat. I got pipe cleaners saturated with some isopropyl alcohol. Instead of taking this whole thing apart, see if I can just cheat the system here. This feels like that might be sufficient, you know. Oh, don't you like the Christmas colors? How cute. Spin that around. The less disassembly, the better. Oh, and look what else I discovered. This machine just knows. LEP. It might actually be IEP, but, you know, close enough. This machine is going to get the typical LEP servicing. What does this say here? 888. That's a good lucky number right there. So, you know, this might be sufficient. And I'll get the tops. And, yeah, that might just work. Okay, I'm happy with how this turned out without having to disassemble everything. It's sufficiently clean. And then I cleaned up these parts here with my heavy-duty degreaser, super clean. And then I totally just accidentally discovered how to remove the drop targets. I was just kind of like pulling on it. And I don't even know how, but somehow the spring came loose. It might have been like that, I don't know. But check this out. You just lift it up like so. And then there's slots there for it to slide out. So this reminds me, someone messaged me on my last video and said they were able to find out some information about Recreativos Franco, the manufacturer of these games, and said that because games are so expensive that they really over-engineered and overbuilt everything. Labor was cheap, and they wanted the games to last. And this is definitely the case with most everything on this machine. Like, look at this drop target. And the drop target bank, and obviously the gauge of wire that they used. And then, like I said in the other video, look at the thickness of the metal on the switches. So definitely over-engineered, but in a good way, built very well. So now, if I release all the springs, I can clean up all the drop targets. So I'm going to do that as well. Okay, drop targets are removed. That was pretty easy. The tricky part is going to be hooking them back up with the spring. That might be a little bit of a pain, but I'll clean these up next. Okay, I got the drop targets all cleaned up. And see how nice the art is on this guy? And how it's kind of fading a little bit on these guys. I really hope I didn't cause that, because I did use the super clean, and I think I will not do that on the other set of drop targets, just in case, because, you know, you use the wrong chemicals, you can lose paint like that. So hopefully I didn't cause that. But I'm gonna take a break. I will be back tomorrow. Okay, I'm back in the basement, and I'd like to reassemble this drop target bank, and maybe even finish both before my time expires. I got maybe a couple hours max. And what I noticed last night, and I forgot to mention, look who's watching over. Mr. Robert Burke himself. He is the guy that owns Pastimes Arcade in Girard, Ohio, and owns probably 1,000 pinball machines, has Guinness Book of World Record collection, and doesn't have an Alaska. So maybe we'll be chatting in the near future. Anyway, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to clean up whatever gunk there may be in here, which doesn't seem to be too much. Reassemble everything, clean up all the switches, and see how that looks. I thought I hit stop, but apparently not. Okay, I'll let you watch me struggle with one drop target, and then I'll just cut to the finished product here. This is the part that's going to be fun. I need to attach this spring, and clearly I need another hand. Okay, wish me luck. Get some extra light here. There's got to be an easy way to do this. I'll probably figure out the system once I'm down to the last one. My head in the way. What is the smart way to do this? That's not working. Okay. Let's try this. It's awkward. And I feel like my head is blocking the whole view. So that's no good. That's why I'm only letting you see one of these drop targets, and then I'll spend the next hour off camera doing the rest. That is not working. Okay, this has been a royal nightmare. I've been fighting for, I feel like, 20 minutes. Managed to get a couple in, and then what I learned is that if you do a test and actually drop the target, and it pops up without the bar there to stop it, you lose the spring that you just spent 20 minutes putting on. So after stabbing myself and trying various different tools, we got this screwdriver, some other small jeweler screwdriver. Finally found a system using this, and you got to do it very specifically or else you just struggle. So you got to hook it in. You got to go from this side, got to have the drop target just about this height. Then you go in through between the drop target, hook the spring, and then try and latch it onto the drop target. And even though I've got a system, still a pain in the butt. Oh, almost had it there. Come on, get up there. So close. There it is. Got it. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I gotta tell you, it has been so much fun. Only 6 more to go. Okay, this drop target bank is reassembled, and yeah, check this out. See how nice that moves now compared to this one. And we can test these drop targets now, and hopefully won't lose my springs. But talk about being overbuilt. Look, there's like a tab on this side and a tab on this side, and 2 switches per drop target. Like, why? Why do we need that? All right, here we go. Let's test these guys out. Nice. All right, that's satisfying. So all I have to do is clean all these 10 switches, and then I can move on to the next one. Oh, and also I was gonna put in a screw here, but the old screw broken off in there. So we're just gonna leave that as is. Okay, so I got all the switches cleaned up. This time I just used rubbing alcohol soaked very, very fine sandpaper and dragged it through every switch. And then I made sure they were all adjusted. So basically, let's see if I can show you here. Down, when you go all the way up, it closes the first one, and on its way down, it closes the second one. See that? But when it goes all the way down, that switch opens back up. So it was confusing me at first. Why is the switch never closing? But it just closes on the way down. So definitely over-engineered. Probably rock solid though, hopefully. Anyway, I think I can officially say I am done this drop target bank. Oh, I forgot to mention I did go ahead and tighten every single one of these screws, because like I said, this Bakelite stuff shrinks over time. And I imagine, look at that, every single screw is going to need 2 or 3 turns just to tighten them back up. So am I going to have to do this to every switch stack in the head? I hope not. Okay, drop target bank number 2 disassembled. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to try this time to not lose any art on any of the faces. Be extra cautious with that. Both these springs are either replacements or have been cut or mangled. So I'm going to see if I have some better springs. I should be able to muster something up, but they're just not so springy. Oh, I think I forgot to show you how clean my drop targets came out. Oops. But the installation went way quicker this time, and I only lost the tiniest little bit of art. It's just so hard to do. And now I just got to reassemble. Need to find me a couple springs here, and look what I found. These guys should do the trick just perfectly, don't you think? Okay, this target bank is done. I didn't have to use the other springs after all. I was able to just kind of snip these and stretch them a little bit, and look how much better that is than what it was. So I still just have to clean the switches on the back. Let's give these guys a test here. Beautiful. Okay, that one didn't drop as far. That could be a problem. Might have to look into why that is. Maybe I just need to lower this black arm a little bit. That's probably not true. Well, I guess it all depends on what it looks like from the top side, so we'll have to wait on that. Anyway, I gotta go for dinner, and then I'll come back and then we'll wrap up this video. Okay, I'm back, and on that note, that reminds me this will be the last episode for a little bit because I am heading to Edmonton soon for the Canadian Pinball Championships. And as it turns out, it's going to be minus 30 degrees Celsius there, and there's going to be 1,000 centimeters of snow apparently. So just as it's starting to warm up here in my hometown, I'm going to go back to the Arctic tundra. Oh, how apt for this project named Alaska. So I'm going to be basically going to a place that much feels like Alaska. So I will, once this video is wrapped up, then you won't see me back for a solid week or so. But anyway, I gotta try and represent in Edmonton and see if I can hold or pull my weight, hold my own, hold my weight, pull my own. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, anyway, I have finished this drop target bank. I successfully was able to trim this one spring, and now look at it. Boom. It's the best drop target of the bunch now. Goes all the way to the top comfortably, and I cleaned and adjusted every single switch meticulously. They're all opening and closing when they're supposed to. So I think that I am going to either move on to dealing with lamp sockets, light bulbs, and inserts. Gotta clean those up. Or the stepper. Not really sure yet. Maybe both, maybe neither. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, I think I will tackle these inserts because it's a relatively easy thing to do. Accessing these guys will be a little more tricky. I did remove the sockets though to get at the light bulbs. And a couple more here. These guys there. And here. So we'll see how clean I can get these guys. Okay, I got these inserts a little bit better, but I started questioning whether this white backing here is actually part of the Playfield paint. And I had a bunch of, rubbing alcohol in here. Started to almost feel gummy, so I got a little scared. So I cleaned them up as best as I could without potentially removing any Playfield artwork. So I really don't want to mess with that. And since they're, all the inserts are opaque, I don't think you're going to notice the little bit of leftover dirt that is behind. So I'm leaving well enough alone. All right, I think I'm going to move the wires from the lugs over to the butts just to potentially improve the connection of the lamp sockets here. So I'm using my wire wheel and cleaning these butts up. Okay, I just had no luck doing that strategy. The solder was not taking even with flux, so I've given up on it, and I'm just going to stick in some LEDs. So to see what color the LEDs are, I just pulled up a photo here, and this is actually my 4-player Alaska here, and this is my 1-player, and as you can see, there is a difference in the apron colors. So there's something else that is different. But yeah, so just looking here, I'm gonna go with natural whites for there, and then I'll go with a warm white for this guy, and then anyway, that's my plan now. I'll just deal with whatever bad lamp sockets I run into as I run into them. All right, I'm gonna give you your LEP lesson for the day. And what I'm doing here is, well, I replaced the one socket because it was just so bad. And best to do it now when the Playfield is on the table. So not a big deal. There's just one wire, and instead of attaching the wire to the leg, I put it on the butt, no problem there, and then soldered the one wire to the base. So I was going to replace this other socket here, and I noticed that there's actually two wires going to the base and a very short wire at that, and that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So this is how you LEP up a socket. So what I did here was dremeled the underneath of this to make some good contact, some nice fresh surface. Then, using these tools, I cut the socket in half. And now what I'm going to do is put a used socket underneath this socket here and screw it down. That's going to be my solder connection there, or my bridge. I won't need to solder the two wires onto this. Actually, I'm going to remove this bit here so that I can get this in there a little better. And then I can solder this wire to the butt here, and then I save having to fight with that. All right, and this is how you LEP up a lamp socket. So you can see I repurposed part of the old socket and just sandwiched it with this new screw to the new quote-unquote used socket, and that will work just fine and dandy. This wire is soldered to the butt. It's a lot of trouble actually, and probably not even worth it. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, probably just buy a $2 lamp socket and replace the whole thing. Okay, with that lamp socket replaced, I think I am done. I've got everything LED'd. Don't think I missed anything. So that means pretty much down to dealing with the stepper unit here. And then bottom side of the Playfield will technically be done, barring any tweaks, adjustments, or lamp socket replacements. I was just trying to figure out where this purple wire goes. Gonna have to figure that out at some point. And look what I noticed. One lamp socket trying to hide on me. And after all that lepping, look, I broke one of the wires off. So I need to solder that to the base after all. Okay, I'm kind of starting to tear into this stepper unit here. And sorry, my headlamp is on, and I don't want to touch anything because I'm very greasy. But slow going, and I'm just going to be meticulous about this, and probably, I don't know if I'll document too much of it because I don't want this episode to be 4 hours long. Okay, I'm tearing into this thing, and the more parts I take off of it, the more scared I become. I was able to clean this plunger. It doesn't want to come out the way it sits right now. And I clean this plunger and sleeve. And I just started tearing off parts on the back side now. So I'm going to clean all those rivets. And I'm not sure how I would mind really cleaning the spring in these guts here. So maybe I just need to remove that screw. But like I said, the more parts I take off, the scarier it becomes. I did take a lot of photos, so hopefully I can reassemble all this stuff properly. But it's all cleaned up, all the pivot points. I sanded these rivets here, which make the contact on all those points over here. So once I clean that up, then I'll see what else is required. I just want to make sure that this wheel turns freely. And it looks like it might be okay. I got to clean this point too, actually. All the pivot points. And then we'll be doing some good stepping, hopefully. Okay, I got all these rivets cleaned up, and I'll add a little bit of grease to those. And I got this side cleaned up, the spring and this cog wheel here, and the switch. And I'm pretty happy with how this is moving. So I think that's as far as I need to go, so I can see if I can remember how to reassemble all this now. Alright, I am done cleaning this up, and now for the big test. Check this out. Okay, which way do I gotta go? This way? No, that's already maxed out there. Okay, we're gonna use the top solenoid. And you can see this pole post here kind of just stepping around. One click at a time until it opens this switch. Boom. At the end of the limit there. Now, this solenoid to reset that post back into the bottom position. There, that's max. And then I'm pretty impressed that that worked out as well as it did. I thought I was going to be fighting this a lot harder. So on that note, I am wrapping up this episode and going to eat, take a break. Back's a little sore, even though I am still enjoying the luxury of my office chair. Whee!